One of the most important things to realize about arrays is the importance of the use of the subscripts. Subscripts represent the position of the element within the array. It's important to note that, as we have said, subscripts are zero-based. This means that the first element is always 0. Sometimes subscripts are referred to as an index. Subscripts may be a numerical value. For example, array name parentheses 3, the number 3 is referencing a specific location within the array. Could be a numerical expression, for example, array name and then in parentheses, in our example here, 4 plus 2, but it could be any mathematical expression. It does not matter how that number becomes a number as long as it is numerical. So once 4 plus 2 is evaluated within the parentheses, it becomes 6 and is now referencing subscript number 6. Subscripts also may be variables. For example, index integer can be used within the parentheses as a placeholder for the subscript for array name. This of course assumes that index integer is indeed an integer, as by definition subscripts must be a whole number. And finally, subscripts may also be a constant. In this example, the word rate presumably refers to a rate, which again would have to be a whole number that's defined elsewhere in the program. Again, subscripts can be used in a variety of ways, and once you understand the importance and the flexibility of subscripts is when arrays become more useful. Subscripts, as we've said, must be integers. Any non-integer subscripts are automatically rounded by Visual Basic. So if you use, for example, 1.2 as a number in the parentheses as a subscript, it will be rounded to simply 1 by Visual Basic to avoid an error. You must stay within the range of the array. If you try to access an item outside the range of the array, you will typically receive a message that says subscript out of range. For example, an array with an upper subscript of 10 cannot reference subscript position number 11. Remember, subscript number 10 is actually position 11, that is 0 through 10 in terms of the ordered number, but the subscript number is indeed 10. So if you receive the message subscript out of range, that is typically telling you that you have tried to access a subscript which is either above or below the range of the array itself. We will also talk in another movie about two-dimensional arrays. But for now, recognize that two-dimensional arrays have two subscripts. The first subscript will always reference the row. The second subscript will reference the column. As I said, we'll have more on two-dimensional arrays in a separate movie. Sometimes arrays are referred to as a table or a table of subscripted variables. And as you can see why, because these are ordinary variables, they simply happen to have a subscript. For each individual variable, that is referred to as an element of the array. The individual elements are treated the same as any other variable and may be used in any statement, such as an assignment statement, to perform a calculation, what have you. This subscript, sometimes called an index, is always inside the parentheses and is the position of the element within the array. The real advantage of using an array is not realized until you use variables for subscript in place of the constants. You also will, when we talk about looping, you will see where arrays can be manipulated through looping, which can also create more creativity and more possibilities for use of arrays in your programs.